The Impel Down Arc in One Piece is absolutely fantastic for so many different reasons, so let's take it from the beginning.
I'm watching the Impel Down Arc for the first time in One Piece, and if there's one word I can use to describe this first episode, that is tense. Luffy sneaking into this prison on the back of Boa Hancock, which by the way is really funny. It feels like if he gets caught, he'll be absolutely fucked. He'll be in the same position as Ace, or maybe even worse. I feel like this arc has so much potential to be awesome. Of course, with Ace's public execution coming up, which is driving this whole thing. On top of that, you have all of these notorious criminals that are in this prison right now, including Crocodile, which is really exciting, and one of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, Jinbei, is here too. The build up to this arc has been absolutely fucking phenomenal, and I feel like it has so much potential to be absolutely amazing. I was actually very happy to see the return of Buggy in this episode. I mean, he was literally one of the first villains in One Piece, and 400 episodes later he's back. He's just as cartoonishly over the top as ever, probably more so now. I do love when anime do this, bring an old villain back to sort of work with the heroes, and with One Piece I feel like there's so much potential to do that, because there are so many villains that are seemingly sort of irredeemable, but if there's any show that can make it irredeemable character redeemable again, it's One Piece. That's just how good the character writing is. But this leads to so much potential of other villains returning, and new villains getting introduced. I really like the entire concept behind Impel Down. I think it's really interesting. The idea that the lower you go down, the more notorious the criminals are, as well as the torture getting worse and worse as you go further down. It's a very terrifying concept, but goddamn it's intriguing. Like, what the hell else is going to be down there? And there's even a mysterious extra floor which might have criminals that have been wiped from history, which is even more exciting. Just as a premise, I love this arc. We have another returning character in Impel Down, and it is the former Baroque Works member number 3. And I think it's so cool we're getting to see all these characters again under completely different circumstances. I'm interested to see if my perspective changes on these characters as we go through Impel Down, because what number 3 did to Dory and Broggy on Little Garden, I was just like, fuck this guy. But this might be his chance of redemption in my eyes, we'll have to see. And I must have forgot how great Buggy is, because I'm absolutely loving his presence in this arc so far. Just the way he is and how over-exaggerated his character is, and the way that he interacts with Luffy, he's just the best. Every time he's on screen, and especially with Luffy, I'm just so entertained. Everything is starting to make a lot more sense as to why the government want to get rid of Whitebeard so badly, and that is due to the fact that he's massively impacting the government's ability to control everything. As we know, the world government are extremely power hungry. They want to rule every territory, they want to rule every single citizen, and Whitebeard, due to his power and his influence, is stopping them doing that. The whole reason for Ace being captured is just a power play for control. I can't lie, it feels like there's going to be a massive power shift coming soon. Consequences and stakes of this arc are absolutely massive. In fact, they've never been higher. This completely affects the entire world. You know, this episode has made me really proud of Luffy, man. Genuinely, how far he's come is actually insane. He's slowly becoming one of the biggest enemies of the world government, and I think that's incredible. Considering he's just a lad with a dream that wants to become the king of the pirates, the way that he's made an enemy out of the world government, the most corrupt pieces of shit in the world, and the influence and the impact that he's had on the world since he started his adventure to now is just crazy. Garp is absolutely fantastic as well. He makes it very outwardly known that even though Luffy and Ace are both enemies of the government, he's extremely proud of them, and I just think there's something very wholesome about that. But I genuinely feel like Luffy might be one of the greatest protagonists of all time. This is my favourite return that we've seen so far in Impel Down. The incredible Bon Clay is back. He was absolutely one of my favourite characters throughout all of Alabasta. He's just so fucking weird and bizarre, man, but he's so fun to watch, and he obviously has a genuinely really good heart. His friendship with Luffy is one of the most wholesome things in One Piece, I swear. You can just tell they absolutely love each other, man, and I'm so excited that we get to see them team up like this. Watching Buggy's reaction to Bon Clay as well was so funny. He actually makes Buggy look sort of normal, but as a character, Bon Clay is absolutely fantastic, man. I cannot wait to see more from him. Impel Down is genuinely so hilarious so far, and given the circumstances, that's quite surprising. But the group of Luffy, Buggy, Bon Clay, and Mr. 3 is just so perfect. If you would have told me these 4 would be working together, I would be like, in what circumstance could that possibly happen? But the fact that it is just the best. Their dynamic altogether is just absolutely perfect. I love it. Especially now Bon Clay is part of the mix, this might genuinely be the funniest arc of One Piece so far. I've been laughing at basically every episode since it started, which again is surprising because Luffy's brother is literally about to get executed, so I know things are going to get a lot more serious eventually, but right now I'm just really enjoying the humour of this arc. Like, Luffy not remembering what the Buggy Ball is and Buggy getting genuinely offended had me in stitches, man. This show is too funny sometimes. I think Luffy is about to encounter the first genuine threat that he's had in Impel Down since he got it. I think it's been a bit easy for him so far. He hasn't really encountered anything too terrible except that guard in the last episode that he still kicked the shit out of, essentially. But now that this Warden Magellan has appeared, I think they could be in trouble. He seems to be the strongest person in the entirety of Impel Down, aside from some of the prisoners, obviously. I don't know why they've decided to give him IBS, like he's shitting himself every 2 minutes, but I mean, that's just part of his character, I guess. But besides that, he does seem like a genuine threat. He actually is quite scary when he's not shitting himself, and I'm actually very excited to see Luffy face off against this dude because everyone seems terrified of him. Magellan might seriously be the biggest threat we've seen to Luffy so far, but what surprised me, which probably shouldn't have, is how far Luffy is willing to go in order to defeat him. Something I've always loved about Luffy is the fact that he stands on his conviction. If he wants to do something, he's gonna do it, and right now there's nothing more important to him than saving his brother Ace. But this Magellan guy is fucking dangerous. I can't remember the last time I was this nervous watching Luffy fight. As Luffy said, it would only take one mistake for him to lose this fight and potentially die, but the fact he knew that and he was willing to go as far as he did at the end of this episode really was amazing. Luffy is willing to lose both both of his arms if it means he can defeat this guy and see his brother. And he's not just willing to, he's actually done it. And that agonizing scream that he let out at the end of this episode, my god. It was only a matter of time, but it feels like Impel Down just took a very serious turn. And I'm actually scared for our boy Luffy. What the hell have I actually just witnessed, man? I've never seen Luffy in this bad of a spot before. Magellan is no joke whatsoever. I've never seen Luffy beaten down and broken as badly as he is right now. Luffy is an absolute dog. The fact he keeps fighting and fighting even though he's clearly losing terribly and he's in a lot of pain. Nothing in the world matters more to him now than saving his brother Ace. But that's clearly not enough, because at the end of this episode, oh my god, Luffy covered in all that poison, 24 hours of torture until he eventually passes is what Magellan said. This is the most scared I've ever been for Luffy throughout the whole of One Piece. This whole fight has been so tense so far, but the ending, bro, I don't know what to say, I'm speechless. Bon Clay is the absolute GOAT. The lengths he's willing to go in order to save his friend Luffy is just amazing. You can tell how much he genuinely cares about Luffy and their friendship. And Luffy being in the spot that he's in right now, which by the way is horrifying to see. He's lost his vision, he's in constant agony. It's really hard to see Luffy like that. Him and Bon Clay are in the same sort of boat right now. Bon Clay is trying to save Luffy while Luffy's trying to save Ace, and they're both willing to go through absolute hell to do so, and there's something very wholesome about that, and again, really hard to watch. And this is all while knowing that Ace is still going to get executed in about 24 hours, so this might all be for nothing. It's just a constant feeling of tension in Impel Down, and I love it, I can't lie.
In fighting off those wolves in order to protect Luffy in this episode, I was rooting so hard for him. Bon Clay might just be the best friend a man could ask for. But once again in this episode, Luffy managed to use Haki, basically by accident. And I feel like when he manages to get control of this power, he's going to completely level up. It's going to be a completely different version of Luffy. He may even be able to run it back with Magellan or something. I don't know, we'll have to see. But now Bon Clay has woken up in some weird gay paradise, and I can't quite tell if it's real or not, but it's very interesting to say the least.
This is genuinely the most terrified that I've ever been for Luffy, but this episode was just so incredible for so many reasons. I mean, for one, Emporio Ivankov is just brilliant. He's the only person more eccentric probably than Bon Clay, which I didn't even think was possible. But everything that Luffy is going through right now, I can only imagine what he's going to be like when he eventually pushes through it, because he will. His spirit is just unbreakable. And that flashback to Luffy and Ace when they were kids, because at the end of the day, that is what Luffy is fighting for. Luffy is going through all this torture just trying to survive just so he can save his brother. Luffy's fighting spirit is absolutely insane, but I don't even think he would survive this if he wasn't fighting for Ace. I'm rooting for our boy so fucking hard right now, man. I'm very scared for him, but I can't wait to see what the outcome is when he eventually does make it through it. And of course, shout out to the absolute GOAT of this arc so far, Bon Clay, because he is just the best. This episode was absolutely incredible. What a roller coaster of emotions, man. Bon Clay proving once again why he's the absolute GOAT, being able to rally everybody at Camelot to cheer for Luffy when he was completely down and out, and his absolute relentlessness in cheering for Luffy, I just thought was absolutely beautiful. Bon Clay absolutely adores this man, and I adore Bon Clay. But Luffy being able to perform this miracle and recover in the time that he did, and him potentially being able to still save Ace, bro, just so exciting. I was shouting, hold on Luffy from my chair, bro, I swear to God. But I've immediately gone from excited to panicking because I know Luffy has barely any time to save Ace now. And I don't know in what way yet, but I feel like this experience is going to completely change Luffy. I want to see that rematch with Magellan so bad, man. Emporio Ivankov being a revolutionist alongside Dragon is not something that I expected at all. But the lore and the history and the characters of One Piece are just so deep, you just don't know who's going to be connected to who. But the fact that Ivan is connected to Dragon is very interesting. Maybe he can tell Luffy some things that we don't know about him. But it brings up a very, very interesting question. Is the Navy capturing and planning to execute Ace not just for Whitebeard, but also for Dragon and the revolutionists? Are they trying to create an absolute war here? What is the Navy's endgame? Maybe the entire D bloodline is involved, I don't know. But the world government are 100% up to some really shady shit. If there's one word I could use to describe the Impel Down arc in One Piece, it is stress, but god damn it is it good. There's two things in this episode which were absolutely crystal clear. One, Ace absolutely loves and is terrified for his little brother Luffy. He knows of the dangers of Impel Down, and now Luffy is at the bottom of Impel Down. He's got an even worse journey than he had going down it. Things are about to be rough. And number two, holy shit, Crocodile's back. And not only that, he's going to be working with Luffy potentially. I don't know if Luffy's going to accept that, but if it means saving Ace, he probably will. But Crocodile and Luffy working together is something I could have never ever expected. There would have to be some sort of extreme circumstance for that to ever happen, and it has. Even if it's temporary, that is extremely exciting. Crocodile's one of my favourite villains ever. This is the most incredibly unexpected and awesome team up in One Piece history, I think. If you would have told me back in the days of Alabasta that Crocodile and Luffy would be teaming up, I wouldn't believe you. I'll be like, no fucking way. But obviously, under these circumstances, it's actually happening, and I can't lie, it's awesome. Crocodile is just as great as ever, just as maniacal as ever. The fact he was so quick to dismiss the events that he did in Alabasta was just insane to me. He was like, that happened ages ago, bro. Don't even worry about it. The dude's a menace and always will be. I love Crocodile. And Jinbei also working with Luffy and Crocodile in order to save Ace is just so cool. Another warlord to be working with Luffy. This team is just diabolical. Impel Down might have just reached peak hype levels for me. Holy shit. Not only has Blackbeard arrived for some reason and is now on a direct collision course with Luffy, that's going to be insane. Not to mention the absolutely batshit insane squad that Luffy's with right now. And not only that, you have Magellan and Shiryu right in the middle of it, and Shiryu might be the person I'm most terrified of in this entire arc so far. That guy he's different. His aura is fucking scary. I mean, you have to be a different level of demon to be locked up in the jail that you're supposed to be the manager of. And what he did to those poor guards at the end of the episode,
My god. What in the world is Blackbeard actually up to? So far he's just arrived at Impel Down and Shiryu's gone to confront him and then just walked away. Like, what is all that about? It's almost like Shiryu got defeated immediately, or he was never planning to fight Blackbeard in the first place, which is odd. One thing is for sure, Blackbeard isn't on anybody's side. He's definitely not on the side of the government, but why is he here? Is he just here to confront Luffy, or has he got some sort of ulterior motive? I don't know, but I'm very interested to see. We really still know nothing about Blackbeard, but that's what makes this so exciting. What the hell is he doing? He could just be after Luffy's head. I mean, I think he's been following him since Jaya, or at least he's wanted to fight him since then. And I cannot wait for that encounter, bro. It's going to be something else. Whatever Blackbeard's up to, it ain't gonna be good. Bro, it's finally happened. Blackbeard has encountered Luffy for the first time since they met on Jaya, and the weight of this moment feels absolutely ginormous. Bro, the amount of adrenaline I got when Blackbeard faced off with Luffy in this episode, I can't even describe it, man. I feel like we've been waiting so long for this, and it's finally happened, and Blackbeard is an absolute menace. Blackbeard taunting Luffy about Ace right in front of him, and essentially saying it's your fault that he's in the position he's in right now, because if it wasn't for that, you'd be the one dead instead. That's just a different level of low, man. The dude is an absolute menace, but Luffy finally getting the chance to fight Blackbeard after everything he's done to him, I'm so excited. Even though it was short-lived, that encounter between Blackbeard and Luffy was absolutely awesome. It was everything I wanted. It told us a lot about what could happen in a potential fight between them in the future. And their dynamic is super interesting. They share the same dream but have completely different morals and ways they're obviously going to try to achieve this dream. So seeing these two's journeys run sort of parallel to each other is very interesting, to say the least. I can't wait to see what happens between these two in the future. We got to talk about Magellan. That dude is so badass. The way he just dismissed Blackbeard and his crew like they were nothing in order to pursue Luffy was just cold as fuck. Obviously that won't be the end of Blackbeard, but I mean that moment was just badass. And with what Magellan did to Luffy last time, the sense of danger I get whenever he's on screen is just immense. And now he's pursuing Luffy once again, I'm absolutely terrified. And I'm pretty sure everybody else in Impel Down is too. Our beloved Queen Emporia Ivankov has fallen to Magellan, and I'm so sad, man. I really thought he was about to do something. The amount of confidence he had while he was fighting him, I just thought there was a chance he might actually be able to defeat Magellan, but I was so wrong. It legitimately feels like everybody in Impel Down is in shark-infested water whenever Magellan is there, because he's just so threatening. The way he's moving right now, he's like the Terminator, just eliminating everybody in his path. And funny enough, I know in this context he's technically one of the good guys, he's just trying to stop the criminals from escaping, but at the same time he is terrifying. And now he's facing off with Luffy again, so shit's about to get spooky for our boy. The rematch between Luffy and Magellan is happening, and I've got to say, Luffy has some balls of steel for fighting this man again. Last time, essentially, Magellan put him 6 feet under. But Luffy is nothing if not determined, so if anyone can pull it off in the rematch, it's definitely him. With the unexpected help from Mr. 3 as well, one of my favourite parts about this arc has been seeing old villains get reintroduced in this new context. You know, Mr. 3, Bon Clay, Crocodile, Buggy. One of the best parts about One Piece are the villains, so seeing them get reintroduced like this, I just absolutely love it. And that scene where Jinbei, Crocodile, Mr. 1 and Buggy are facing off with all their Navy ships, I can't lie, super fucking badass. Those Navy ships are in more danger than they even realise, I think. And I just love seeing it all go down, to be honest. I say characters are monsters or demons quite a lot, but Magellan is completely different. This dude is an actual demon, like for real. To me, he's been one of the absolute best parts of Impel Down. He's made Impel Down feel as threatening as it's supposed to. Magellan has single-handedly made Impel Down a terrifying place to be. It's like the only thing that could actually beat this man is irritable bowel syndrome. Like, that's what it feels like. But regardless of all of that, Luffy has managed to not only break into Impel Down, but just escape it. And yeah, I'm proud of our boy. Even though he hasn't rescued Ace, that's still crazy. And even though the arc and the mission isn't done yet, I can't help but be proud of our boy for getting through all of that. This to me solidified the fact that Bon Clay is one of the absolute goats of One Piece. Throughout the entirety of Impel Down since he was reintroduced, Bon Clay has been nothing but amazing. As a character, he's absolutely brilliant. He's so eccentric and so fun to watch, but the amount of things that he's done for Luffy in the name of friendship is just beautiful. I mean, if it wasn't for him, Luffy would literally be dead right now, and he definitely wouldn't have escaped Impel Down. This final act of sacrifice, allowing Luffy to escape while staying behind and potentially dying to Magellan, Bon Boy is just the absolute best. Such an incredible character. I really hope this isn't the last we see of him. But if it is, Bon Clay really has left an impact on me. He is, what a man. What a man, bro. I didn't think I'd be saying Bon Clay is one of my absolute favourite characters by the end of this, but he absolutely is. What an absolute fucking hero. The public execution of Ace is very fastly approaching, and something or someone specifically is missing. Where the hell is Whitebeard and the Whitebeard Pirates? Now, they're definitely planning something. They would never abandon Ace, but like, where are they? Maybe they're waiting for Ace to get to Marineford before they do anything. But we are absolutely on the cusp of a world war here. Right now, it feels like the world is waiting for a bomb to explode that could just show up at any minute. But when that bomb inevitably does go off and the Whitebeard faces off against the Warlords and the Navy, it's going to be absolute carnage, and I cannot wait for it. And that's not even including Luffy into the list, and maybe the Emperors are going to show up as well, the other ones. All I know is Ace's execution feels very real now, and shit's really about to go down. I'm very glad to see the rest of the Straw Hats again. As much as I've loved Impel Down and it's been absolutely incredible, I do miss the other Straw Hats for sure. So seeing Nami and Frankie in this episode has made me very happy. I'm still very convinced that Kuma sent them to these locations manipulations for a reason. It doesn't seem like a coincidence that Nami ended up somewhere where she could potentially get stronger, because we know her main weapon is weather manipulation. And then, of course, with Frankie being a cyborg, ending up where Dr. Vegapunk is, one of the greatest scientists in the entire world, it just makes a lot of sense for him to be there too. Why Kuma would send them there, I don't know. Is he a double agent or something? Who knows? I feel like when the Straw Hats inevitably meet up again, they're all going to be completely different people. I mean, based on this episode, Sanji might literally be a different person. I don't know if this is Sanji accepting who he truly is or just some sort of trick from Camelan, but either way, I did not see it coming. And poor Chopper's getting absolutely rinsed on this island, man. It feels like no matter where Chopper goes, if he's not with the Straw Hats, he just gets bullied, and I hate to see it. Chopper's my boy. He deserves better, man. This story with Nico Robin feels like a movie. It wouldn't surprise me if she ended up joining the Revolutionary Army, and that's how she ended up re-meeting up with the Straw Hats. This is for sure my favourite story that any Straw Hat is going through at the moment, besides Luffy, of course. But I'm genuinely hoping we get to see more of this, because I really think this could be an interesting path for Robin to go down, especially considering her history and the fact that she's had to fight for her freedom her entire life as well. This is a natural sort of progression for her, it feels like. And then Usopp is just doing Usopp things. I think he's found his brother in arms with this Hercules guy. Where is Soge King when you need him? That's the question. What, in your opinion, is one of the funniest tropes in One Piece? Because it is genuinely a really funny show. It's had me laughing out loud multiple times, more than I'm willing to admit, to be honest. But one of my absolute favourite running jokes has to be Zoro's sense of direction. It fucking kills me, man. And it was on full display in this episode. Jesus Christ, it's probably the worst it's ever been. But there's just something so funny about his pure confidence, knowing he's going exactly where he thinks he's going, but we all know he's just not. Absolutely cracks me up, man. And then Brooks constantly to see women's panties in the way that it backfired in this episode. He only got what he deserved, to be honest. But yeah, I think One Piece is one of the funniest shows out there when it wants to be. I think its humour is so underrated. Well, I think it's funny anyway. So those were all of my initial thoughts on the absolutely brilliant Impel Down arc, and as you could tell from my reactions, it was an absolute roller coaster. I loved so much about it. The reintroduction of characters, Bon Clay in particular, was the biggest highlight of the entire arc for me. The way that One Piece brought him back and just made him one of the most enigmatic and interesting and emotionally deep characters in the show, I thought was incredible. His friendship with Luffy and what he was willing to do for him, I thought was really beautiful. The stuff with Magellan, he is one of the scariest villains in One Piece, even to this day. What he did to Luffy is absolutely horrifying. The way that it sets up Marineford so beautifully. Again, the reintroduction of Crocodile, the introduction of Jinbei, the stakes getting heightened with Ace's execution imminent, and just Luffy's descent down into Impel Down, getting further to save his brother. It all culminates in something really tense and interesting and just fun to watch. Impel Down, again, even without the context of Marineford, is great on its own, but with Marineford added onto it, I feel like it completely elevates it. But yeah, those were all my thoughts on Impel Down. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. And next up, we got Marineford, which in my opinion is the greatest arc in One Piece ever. Maybe the greatest I've ever seen in any anime. So yeah, let's do it.